So hello everyone, welcome to the 14th OSS Demo Day. And just to give you guys a quick introduction of what we do, we have four of our speakers here: Giles Coley from investor at Stripe Ventures, Brian Hollins, who's a managing partner at Collide Capital, and Nadine Tijnik-Willink, I hope I spelled that right, investor at Fortino Ventures, and Francois Kiergarave, associate at Iris Capital, who have graciously accepted to be our guests and panelists today to note and judge our four startups we'll be presenting. So these are the criteria at which they'll be noting. One will be metrics and market, the pitch, the content, and anything else that you think which is worth noting out of a scale of 0 to 10. And finally, we have our four presenters today: Adrien Laurentin, who's the CEO of Marketing; Alexandre Lamourille, the CEO of Arten Systems; and Luc Leroy, the CEO of Fullspeed Automation; and finally, Rafi Wadan, the CEO of Stargazer. So without further ado, I'll let Renaud de Villiers give the introductory speech.
Yes,
Over to you.
Thank you so much. We are not going to talk a lot about OSS Ventures. We're going just to talk about the thesis. So if you take an average operational company in 2021, total IT budget is 3.9% of total sales. They use as an average on top of ERP less than 3 software, and the share of software in end product is less than 2%. If you take Tesla, the numbers are out of all of that, use more than 15 software, and the share of software in end product is 18%. And our good old friends at McKinsey tell us that the average company by 2030 will be having a total IT budget of roughly 10% of sales, will be using 15 software, and the share of the software in the end product is going to be 15%. So basically, there is an ongoing explosion in the number of software that can be used to enhance operations and to enhance the end product. If you go to the next page, there is a paradox, and the paradox is that operations is 20% of GDP, and the share of startups and total funding going into operations at large in 2022 was 0.7%, according to PitchBook. And I love that quote. It was a manufacturing French CEO telling me about his life and the fact that every other CEO has very interesting things to say when coming to startups and everything. And at the end, he said, yeah, I have none of that. It's changing, though. It's changing with the Biden plan. It's changing with the public prise de conscience, as we say in France, towards reshoring, towards supply chain crisis, towards China and the social workers' conditions when working in China. And so, as a result, if you go, and this will be my last slides, let's look at the opportunity. In 2021, total 4.0 software market size was 114 billion. And by 2029, it will be 377 billion US dollar. That is the only for software. Let's account for a very conservative 20% of that value creation to be captured by new players. That's 51 billion in sales. And so with very conservative 6 times ARR type of situation, it means that we can expect 306 unicorns worth of companies to be created in the field. So that's why at OSS Venture, we are very excited by that. And we want to become the good operational partner specialized in helping companies in their journey in that market, which is a particular market. And so we leverage our network of clients. We have a little over 1,000 factories, clients of all the startups. We leverage our community of startuppers and unique playbooks in how to scale a SaaS, how to do a go-to-market, how to create a category, because there is a lot of category creation going on in 4.0. And so we are very proud to be that. And also we have that ethos of wanting to be positive partners. And so we love to partner with more financial companies and VC funds that are more generalist and specialized. So I think out of the 4 panelists, we are co-investor with Stride in Craft. So that is one company that we have in common, but we look forward to having a lot of companies in common and changing the way that we are doing operations. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you,
Hopefully
Raymond.
Craft is the first of many for us as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we also co-invested in Flowlity with Adine.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, that's true. Of course. How can I forget that? Sorry, Adine.
Yes, no worries.
Just to give you guys a brief recap on the demo day, we have a pitch on 4 of our startups: Marketing, who will go first, Atten Systems, Full Speed Automation, and Stargazer. The pitch will be around 6 minutes, and then we'll have a 4-minute Q&A session with feedback from the panelists. So I'll let Adrien to do his first presentation.
May I share my screen? Yeah, perfect.
Yep, you can.
Perfect. So hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Adrien, the CEO of Mercateam that we co-founded 3 years ago with Kevin Rouvière. Actually, next month it will be our 3rd anniversary and birthday. And when I'm pitching and talking about Mercateam, I love to talk about my clients because I'm really proud to have this kind of clients in less than 3 years. So if you wear a perfume from Dior, Givenchy, Kenzo, Guerlain, Dior, right now you have 90% of chance these products come from people who are managed with Mercateam. It's exactly the same if, like Ash, you have some glasses from Zeiss. Or if you have been vaccinated by Merck, or if you have a headache and you take a Doliprane, a really popular medical medicine in France, it's come from Mercateam, and they just ask us to help them to manage their employees and their knowledge at a short-term and at a long-term view. Okay, so at a short-term view, it's to manage like who will go where in the next week, because it's harder and harder for them to manage different constraints. So for example, does someone is trained to go on this position? Sometimes it can take like many months to go in a position. Does he has the clearances, the authorization to go in this position? Is he absent? Does he has a restriction on this position? It's really complicated to manage this, and we have them on that. And also because we have the data of who goes where in the factory or in the logistic warehouse, we are able to track this data and push it to the top management and to help them anticipate people will go on retirement, the people they will need to recruit because they know they will close some lines of products in the next year. So this is more on a long-term view. Basically, our mission is to put the right person on the right position at the right moment. This is the mission of Mercateam. What's interesting is that if we take only like 20 of our clients and more, now we have more than 35, and we take all the sites they have and our average MRR of 1,500 euros of MRR, the total addressable market is 21 million euros of gross into account potential. If we take only 40% of this market penetration, we can do 8.6 million ARR on gross into account at a short-term view. And trust me, we still want to have a new logo again because the market is just big. I don't know why, when I was preparing this speech a few years ago, I wanted to like tell you 3 little stories where I think will give you a good overview of what we do. So the first story, it's a story of an operator, a blue collar, and it's the story of a blue collar who's not happy. And it was 3 years ago, I was interviewing this operator, and he was just like telling me, I don't want to move any more of my position. I still have 4 years to do with this company, and then I will go to retirement, and I'm done with it. So actually, with I met Renan, and we wanted to create a tool who improves the versatility on the site, valorize people. So I was really disappointed, but still I continued my user research, and I tried to understand why. And the problem came from the fact that he got an HR interview the year before, an annual evaluation, and he realized that the HR in front of him knew nothing about what he did for the company. And what he did for the company, because I checked these informations after, he gave more than 150 trainings to other people in the last 10 years. He lived like 100 times his position to help other managers on different positions, but nobody tracked this information. And the only one who knew that, it was his manager, but his manager leaves the company, so he realized no one has this data. And today with Mercateam, he has access on a tablet, on a smartphone, or on a screen to all the goals of the company and which skill he needs to upskill to answer to the goal of the company, but also he can see all the skills he have, all the training he gives, and to be valorized for it. This is the first story. The second story is the story of a manager who never has time. And actually, if you go in a factory, it's always the case. Managers never have time. They are running everywhere. And it was the case of this guy that I was supposed to meet at 10, and he tells me, okay, Adrien, today it's not possible. As you know, I miss 4% since 4 weeks. So I just don't have the resources to answer to the production. So okay, I'm taking my lunch in the factories, and the same day in the same factory, like 5 minutes walk from the other manager. So really, I'm in the same building, huh? And I'm talking with another manager. I'm taking his skill matrices, his planning, his a file. I remember where he managed the short-term employees. You know that people in France it's intérimaire, and many different Excel he has, because each manager has this type of Excel to manage their people. And I realized since more than 1 month he had 3 guys who could help the other managers doing the stuff he needed. But unless they meet at the coffee machine, but they can't because they don't have time, they couldn't exchange this information. And now this same site improved of 29% the versatility of the site. So that means people are always moving from a position to a position because they have all the data on Mercateam, they do their planning, and they can bring people from other teams with Mercateam. This is the second story. And the last one, it was again doing this research, but this time it was the site director. So you see, I show you the bottom-up approach of Mercateam and of our feature. And it's the story of the site director who never sleep, because again, it's the same case for all the site directors, they never sleep, because their main goal is to always have someone will be on a position to produce. The goal of a site director is to have a business continuity on the site. And he tells me that each year he tries to have all the data from the sites, all the data of skills, and to anticipate what's going to happen if in 2 years he is closing these 2 lines because the produce who comes from these 2 lines are not working anymore. So he will close this line. So he's trying to simulate what's going to happen if he closes this line. He will have 20 people. If he opens a new lines, because the industry 4.0 needs to innovate on few lines, what's going to happen on his people. And with him now, we do what we call workforce planning, but with a data which comes with a bottom-up approach. And this exactly Mercateam. We want to be the backbone of knowledge of a company. So we are like the hand of the HR tool, but for operational with a return on investment, a vision of that. And we have many features that you can find on the left, from the operator to the site director. And now we are working with groups to do some workforce planning, but at an international scale. So really to anticipate what will be the job of tomorrow and what will happen on the organization. And it will be my conclusion. It's just crazy when you go in this type of work, because you have 4.0 innovation, because you have the environment crisis that force us to rethink the way we produce, because 45% of the US workforce will go to retirement in the next 10 years. You have a big crisis of people management. And what we love at Mercateam is that nobody invests in people in the last 30 years. And now, like the people from the field, when they see Mercateam, they say, okay, at least one tool that will help us to manage people, because we have machinery which costs like 3 million, but we have Excel or just in our head to manage the people. So it will be my conclusion. And of course, we have the best team to do that. But I will let you ask you my question. Some questions, sorry.
So do we have any questions from the panelists before we go for the feedback? Adine, do you want to go first?
Oh, I have so many questions. Cut me off if I don't have time. You just mentioned one market trend of workers, 45% of workers, US workers going are almost in their pension phase in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Are there any other market trends that you can name off that will ameliorate this problem?
Yeah, I have like so many, as you can imagine, but one which is really interesting, it's from the OCDE, and it's a study from last year. A technical skill in an industrial company was staying in the company in 1970, 29 years in the company. So in a factory, basically, if you know to do a task, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you could do the same task during 29 years. Today, it's 3 years in the company. So that means people need to train themselves to new jobs all the time. You know, people are sometimes going from the field to the support. And it's what we do. We try to help them, you know, to answer to these new jobs more fast. Is it a part of answer of your question?
Yes, that does answer quite a bit of my question. And another question about the market. I saw a slide on the on your TAM.
It's only our client TAM.
Right. So what is your European sum?
So you know, we raised in total 2 million euros with ISAI, the French fund, and of course OSS. And when we did the study, we got 1 billion of market in limitrof, I think we say like that in English, limitrof countries. So Belgium, Switzerland, Spain, and France on the management and knowledge people management in just around France.
Okay, yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Nice. Thanks for the questions.
I think we are running out of time, so maybe we'll go straight ahead to the feedback. So Adine, do you want to like start with just your note on marketing? Just to give you a feedback, it's like metrics and market, shape, content, and anything else out of a scale of 0 to 10.
Yes, so I have a little cheat sheet that was sent earlier. So metrics and market, now after you answering my feedback, yeah, favorable, at least a 7 or 8. Okay. I would be looking at a 1 billion market in Europe, which you have. That's interesting. You answered a few questions on market trends. I think they're also favorable. Okay. Obviously, there are more questions on that. If you look at how people use it, which age group is using your product, etc. But that was for another time. Shape, the quality and clarity of the pitch deck. I really like that you started with your customers and that you made the translation to an everyday use of an individual. I think that's very strong. It really is. It's really relatable. What I missed in the beginning is that you talk about more of the problems. So basically the market trends that would have helped me. Let me see. And I think the statement of how mission critical is it? Does it save the customer money or does it earn the customer money? You do answer that in your user cases. But if you do that, make it more exact. Because the moment you go into the user cases, it becomes more fluffy. Always read out what's on the slides because people are going to read anyway, and otherwise they're not listening to you. So they rather have you read out the slide so they know where you're at. And then if you do a user case, I don't know if you've heard about the pyramid or the I know only the trechter, like
You go to
how you,
pyramid.
the funnel. So you have the
Yeah.
pyramid and the funnel.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to talk in a pyramid system. So you want to start with your message, because people are only listening to you to understand what is your message. So start with the message and then elaborate, instead of elaboration going to the message. Let me see. If you show a pyramid, like the sheet you showed, if it's more complicated than an easy read in 1 second, talk us through it.
Okay.
Because we're not listening anymore the moment that you skip through it, because there's too much complexity on the slides, and we want to know, we're interested. And maybe this is a Dutch person saying it, but I think the French have a strong accent when they talk English, and this makes it very sexy, but also sometimes a little bit harder to understand. So I need to get used to it more. And I know we do this with our Dutch founders as well. We train them. So yeah, that's the run of my feedback. And I think it's a very interesting field you're in, and I think you've already built a very interesting company. So
Thank
congrats.
you so much, Adine, for the feedback.
Right. Thank you so much, Adine. Giles, do you want to give your feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you, Adrian. I'm one of the privileged people to be a native English speaker, right? And so I appreciate everyone else is having to often speak in a second language. I thought the pitch was really good. I agree with a lot of the things that Adine said. On your metrics and market. I gave you like a 7 or an 8. I think it's really helpful once you answered the question, but it was a little bit misleading to begin with, to understand exactly what the total market was. That's not something that I look at and it's a binary decision, like, okay, we need to go for this. It's just to be a little bit more clearer on exactly the metrics that you're putting in the deck. I thought that the way that you communicate is really, really good. I thought you going through the customer examples and use cases, really get a feeling that you understand your customers really well. I would actually have put in maybe 1 or 2 more slides in there, because you have some really long stories when it's easy to lose people or just lose track. So I think just to have a little bit more structure talking about the problem. But I thought you did really well on that. And then on the content itself, I think, again, I really got the sense that you understand the problem and you understand your customers very well. I would have liked a little bit more time on your actual approach and your solutions and kind of why you'll win, because I'm coming out of that really, I think I understand the problem quite well, but I'm remembering you guys as a brand less because you spend a lot of time on customer, but it's so hard in such a short pitch. So I thought you did a really good job.
Thank you so much.
All right,
really great
cool.
feedbacks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Giles. So Brian, you want to go ahead, please?
Sure. Yeah, phenomenal job. I agree. I can't imagine pitching in a second language. I'm like imagining myself doing something in Spanish, or it wouldn't go well. So testament to your work. I more than anything, just slow down. You know, just imagine that you have more time than you think, and I think it'll help you get things across. But I thought you did a really good job. I thought your first slide was super powerful. Very rarely can somebody start with the number of logos that you started with. And I thought one thing in particular that stuck with me, I'm a enterprise software investor, predominantly an infrastructure investor. One of the first investments I made was in a fintech API business called Plaid. And one of the things that you did for me was you helped me understand that you provide the plumbing underneath of all of the things that are existing. And so you said, if you've ever touched this, or this, we've probably powered it. That's an exceptionally powerful thing for enterprise software investors in particular. So I would continue to work off of that. I didn't like the transition that you made to your case studies. I think you could have done a better job tying it to that slide. So pick a few of the logos from there and just almost like drag me into, and now I'm going to give you examples of the best use cases here, because instead you took me on different tangents. And I bet if we did this 20 times, the 3 minutes that you spent on those case studies would have been different each time. And so find the best examples on that first slide and then make them into new slides. And it could all be one slide, but take me through. I think Adine made a phenomenal suggestion, which is I'm going to read that regardless. I know you think that I'm listening. I'm really just nodding. I'm reading the slide. And so allow me to get through the entire case study simply on the page. Once I get through it, then I'll come back to listening to you. But I think you could do yourself a lot of favor by not having to explain those case studies and just letting the slide speak for itself. I think one thing that is relevant more today, maybe than 6 or 12 months ago when the market was flying, was this doesn't sound as much like a rip and replace as it does a net new. You brought up Excel a lot, which means basically these people aren't paying for something. They're using their own internal services, and that's phenomenal. Like it oftentimes suggests that there's white space in the market, but we're also moving into a recession. And so one of the things that I tend to look for is opportunities to better understand whether there's a need to have or a nice to have. And oftentimes if somebody is getting away with using Excel, then this is not going to be a great thing in a downturn. And so just be mindful of how often how often you're suggesting that this is a tool to replace something that can be done manually. And if it is in fact replacing Excel, make sure that the use cases that you're using are really explaining how you drove ROI for the business by getting them off of Excel. Because I think there's a big difference between cost cutting and revenue driving right now.
Of course.
I think it's super important for you to
yeah. So one slide on the return on investment, and of course it seems obvious. Yeah.
And then the last thing I was going to talk about was I agree a lot with the sentiment on the pyramid. I wasn't really sure what was going on there. And so if the idea is like we power all of these things, or if the idea is like here's the whole market and here's where we sit, just help me understand exactly why I'm looking at a pyramid and what that pyramid is for, and make sure that just all the words on that slide are relevant, because there was a lot going on the slide, but thought you did a really good job.
Thank you so much for all these feedbacks. Really, I didn't expect that. It's perfect.
Thank you so much, Brian.
And just one point, Ashok, I'm so sorry I will not be able to stay. I would love to hear the other feedbacks, but I have my board with my shareholders, so so sorry about that. It was really cool to meet you.
No worries. Thank you so much, Adrien.
Thank you.
I unfortunately have the same. I shot you a note. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah.
I'm jumping into an emergency board meeting. But for the 3 of you that I won't get a chance to see, I shared my email address. We'll do a one-on-one, or we'll do something. So I am sorry that I have to jump, but I definitely look forward to learning from all 3 of you as well. So thanks for having me, OSS.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
We'll have Alexandre Lamourille present Arten Systems. All right. Up.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All good?
Yep. We can almost see your screen.
It's coming.
It's still loading. It's like the elevator. You're gonna have a little music.
All right. All right, everyone. Hello, I'm Alex, and I run Arten Systems. So we're gonna talk about cybersecurity right now. For those I'm already disappointing, I'm not gonna wear any hoodie or speak in the dark or wear a mask. We're gonna talk about cybersecurity for manufacturing plants, because this is what we do. We address the factory part of the space. All these companies, so it's a very small sample of companies that you see here that suffered big losses due to cyber incidents on their manufacturing operations over the last 12 to 18 months, basically. So to name a few, Saint-Gobain, the bill was 250 million. Toyota had to shut down all the factories in Japan last fall. So there's obviously an issue here. Couple of additional hard facts from our friends at McKinsey and others. Manufacturing is now the top sector in terms of cyber incident from 2022. Before financial institutions and public bodies. When something serious happens in a factory, it's 4 to 8 weeks of downtime between complete shutdown to slow recovery to production. So it's a fairly long span of time. And in fact, 1 every 4 factories never really recovers after a serious incident. Either customers fly away, old machines never being able to restart, or financial impact being too serious and the factory shuts down basically. So yeah, there is a problem, and the current trends will not make things much easier in the coming years. Manufacturing, it's in 2025 will be a lot more data to handle around the machines in the shop floors, more software, more volume of attacks, more volume of incidents. Still not possible to hire. Very big shortage of cyber experts in general worldwide, and a regulation that is hardening and consolidating, especially in Europe with the NIS2 directive. So obviously the problem is here to stay. And when there's a problem, there's usually an opportunity. A pretty busy slide, but in a nutshell, cybersecurity is a hot topic at the moment, but the industrial part of it, which is called OT, which is operational technology, is kind of a niche of the cybersecurity market, which is still very badly addressed and very low penetrated, but still with very high growth. So that, looks to me like a pretty attractive risk reward to compete in the space. So what's the real problem in this space, in industrial cybersecurity? Well, two things. When you talk to people and you try to understand what's the problem, first, the maturity level among factories and industrial organizations is is pretty low, especially in France and in Western Europe in general. The governance around the topic is a bit fuzzy. There's no tool and process to pilot risks, and there's no real capability or even sometimes willingness to execute and do things because of constrained resources. So basically what happens is like 80% of the cases is that there are like some basic solutions at best in factories. Some stuff are done in cloud, phishing and IT, but as soon as you step into the shop floor, it's like, okay, we just put a firewall and we pray. Or every 2 years, we bring someone like me from, like I was from McKinsey to do a bit of things, to try to kind of do some stuff, and that's it, So that's basically the situation in French and European factories at the moment. And on the flip side of the coin, there is a poor understanding of the problem from the solutions provider. It's very easy to go very complex and very technical when you talk about cyber. There's like a problem in this space, which is complexity as a standard, because all these solutions and companies are built by IT people and they enjoy complex stuff, 3D things, and it's twinkling everywhere and no one understands really what's happening there. So that there's an increased amount of tech and AI and IT to address a topic that is not really IT, because we're talking about, shop floors, and little, consideration of process and people side of things, even though it's a big risk in general on the cyber side. So everything that is trying to, all the solutions that are trying to manage the problem are project management, and it's kind of a fade standard in terms of tooling, because there's a beginning and end, and there's poor resiliency and continuous improvement out of this kind of tool. So the problem is basically a go-to-market problem. They don't really listen to what people in the shop floor tell us, so there's no use of the tools, and eventually they cannot sell. Our vision on the solution is pretty radical when you understand what the OT cyber is and industrial part of cybersecurity is. First, we are convinced that the space and the whole topic will follow the same trajectory as quality and safety decades ago. Quality 25 years ago was a team of experts centralized, providing guidelines to all the factories with limited impacts. Today, everyone acknowledges that, quality is everyone's business on the shop floor, from the head office to the people around the machines. So this kind of expertization, decentralization is a trend that we really believe for industrial cyber. And you need to have a tool that understands that, and you need to make something simple enough and integrated enough to onboard and embark the people from the shop floor. That's first point. The second point is that to us, industrial cyber is not an IT exercise, it's an operational risk management exercise. So to do that, again, we need to have the right metrics. We make it very concrete. You need to be able to pilot budget, to be able to have business-oriented actions, and not only talk about, red flag, yellow flag, green flag, and criticality and that stuff. The last part is that this space must be addressed as a turnkey solution, mixing people and technology, because what people tends to do is to try to put a tool in the shop floor and make the use to everyone and try to generate use. But people they have no time, no money, and they are not trained to kind of manage this problem. It's not their mandate. So having something end-to-end managed and outsourced is something that is critical to actually generating sales and usage. So what we do, basically very simple, a SaaS and a marketplace for security services all together. The SaaS part, to basically see what's happening on the shop floor, react to problems, and prioritize things and pilot risks. So that's the SaaS part. Security services to execute and get trained, because execution is about managing the complexity of each factory. Again, IT likes scalable things and process that can go everywhere. Factories are some of particular cases, level of obsolescence, level of criticality. It's all like a very scary IT point of view. So to do that, we just inject the right expertise and the right people directly on the shop floor to deliver the fastest solution to any kind of problem. Penetration testing, segmentation, patching, backup, drills, you name it. We're not going to be the one-stop shop ourselves, but we know people that can come to you at the right time and at the right cost to solve this particular problem on this automat or PLC. And that's the human part of it, where technology and AI and automatization found its limit because they need to address local complexity. We use people to do that, and we make off and on the ground expertise available to our clients. Value we deliver to the partners, pretty simple. One, they pilot cyber risk like an operational risk, not an IT one. So the metrics we use is downtime, loss of revenue, safety risk, environmental risk, sorry, and sometimes reputational risk. We don't talk about IT there. We deliver the right level of visibility on assets and threats, flows, production flows, IT, and people. 3 layers, and you see 99% of what you need to see. Third, we relieve the teams, the internal teams on execution and remediation. They don't have the, it's an environment where resources are very constrained from an IT perspective, especially when you inherit the industrial part. It's kind of overwhelming. We are here to help, and we're here to remediate on their behalf if they need. And last part is we deliver business continuity and resilience through continuous improvement. We have a capability to recycle knowledge and to train, to deliver targeted training through the tool and also on site, so that the whole thing is moving, as a continuously improving exercise. Very quickly, our ambition today and where we stay. At the moment, we are testing the MVP with co-builders and beta testers. We have first contracts and revenues next month. We start collecting revenues there. The ambition for the end of year is to serve between 10 and 15 factories in France, doubling up next year, by end of year 2024. And the 5-year plan is basically to have critical mass and revenues to enter the insurance space. That's the play we have at site, because at the conjunction of industry and cyber in the space of insurance, there's pretty much no one at the moment, and having that kind of mass would enable us to crack that topic in the coming years. Lastly, a couple of words on the team. My partner and CTO is a seasoned CTO. He used to do that for 10 years before. Amazing skills in risk software design, and also he's a very, very good cyber expert and hacker himself. So the technical part he's really taken care of. Myself, I used to spend a bit of time at McKinsey before, doing defense, advanced industries, and cyber projects. This is basically where I found out that how big was the hole in the racket when I was on site. And together we kind of bring about 25 years of experience in the both risk, industry, and cyber. So I think we are pretty well equipped to handle this topic and try to solve this problem. Thank you very much. Happy to take questions.
Cool. Thank you so much, Alex. Can we quickly have the feedback? Because I don't think we've run out of time for questions. So we'll start with Francois.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, Alex, for the pitch. I think it was a great pitch. I really loved the way you started the pitch with the problem actually and the massive opportunity that lays down. And so starting by the logos of industrials that suffered massive attacks was, I think, clearly a good starting point to get us into the pitch. So on that, I really liked it and really enjoyed it. Also, what I really enjoyed was the part on the value you bring, because in the end, it's a cybersecurity tool, yes, but it's also about operational value. And I think you clearly wanted to demonstrate that point, and I think you made it quite clear. So this I really appreciated. The one point I'd like to make is your slide on the product vision. That was and the core beliefs that are that drive your execution on the product appear before the real product that you want to build and the product description. And so at the point of your product belief and core vision for the product, I was like, okay, but what's the product? And I wanted to know more about the product. And so at that point, I was like almost not listening, because I was like, okay, I want to see what's the product and what is it, and after that, maybe having, okay, what's at the core of our design principles for this product. That's the feedback I wanted to make it also short as a feedback for you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Francois. Can we have a quick feedback from Giles?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
First of all, Alex, love the presentation. I think the slides are super clear, and like the way that you talk about market, I agree with Francois. Like super straightforward, suck me straight in. I think actually, again, would like to see the product coming in a little bit earlier, and also it's so hard when you're so early stage, but would love to see a little bit more about how well you understand customers. I think it's always something I look for is the kind of feedback you've taken on board or how you design with them. I think the risk of talking about your principles before you talk about your customers is, I think, okay, well, does this come from you, or is this what everyone needs? So I think the ability to really just talk about your customers earlier and use that to drive the narrative of what you've built and how it solves their problems directly, I think will hopefully help you pitch it and really help me understand like how valuable this is. But otherwise, like really, really good presentation and made a complex topic very accessible and interesting.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you so much, Giles. Can we wrap it up with Adine?
Underlining everything what's already been said. I really liked the future in your ambitions about the insurance part. If I look at the market, I think you're very accurate at looking at that, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So that's thing that I saw that I really liked. I like your founding team. I think it's really impressive what you have under your belt when it comes to experience, both of you. So that's very impressive and definitely worth the mention. I missed the slide on market. So basically, sum always helps. Yeah, I would want to see a billion market in Europe with the sum. So that could be a very easy slide, but it always helps. Let me see if I have something else to add. Yeah, one of the questions arose for me is that if you have a marketplace, how do you check the quality of your suppliers? I would want that to be covered. And also my question was, why not have one supplier for everything? So I think a marketplace always works when you have fragmentation on the one side and on the other side. So if you can show that fragmentation also on the supplier side, maybe even as fragmentation in quality, meaning that you have a hard time as demand to find the right supplier for the different topics that you have. That would put a really good basis under your marketplace assumptions. And also, I think for your market, for a marketplace should be much bigger than for a SaaS. So I will be looking at a 10 billion market on both sides.
Right.
Very clear. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome
Also,
feedback, guys.
one more thing.
Yeah.
Your metrics so your operational metrics, I thought that was very keen on that. When you said reputation as a measurement, as a metric, immediately in my head, I thought, is this a vanity metric? You measure that. So this would also be something that you might get questions on, or you could elaborate on while you're talking about it.
Happy to discuss the details. I have answers to all these questions, but conscious of time, we'll revisit.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank
awesome.
you so much, Adine. I think now we'll start with the full speed automation with Luc Leroy. Up. And we have the slide ready. And Luc, whenever you're ready.
Hey, folks. I hope you can hear me. I'm in a bus with a bunch of investors, and you know how these people can be loud sometimes. So I hope it's okay. All right, so Full Speed Automation is a company that we incorporated a bit more than 2 years ago, funding 2 years ago on seed. And the motivation behind that, if we go to the next slide, Ashok. When I was the head of core automation engineering at Tesla, which I did for a bit more than 2 years and a half, one challenge that I was given was the Gigafactory in Shanghai. And it was a success. You know, you all heard that for the first time and maybe only time, Tesla managed to start a factory below budget and within the time. But what people don't realize is that I had more than 330 engineers to help me achieve that goal. So next slide, that takes us to a solution. If you go, yeah, perfect. Globalize that, to democratize what we did at Tesla with an army of engineers that others cannot afford to have. We thought we need to develop a solution that is going to enable local manufacturing by enabling a agile production using 5G, digital twin, and all the modern practices. And maybe more important than anything else, this solution has to be no code, so that everyone can have access to the same type of agility and speed as we had at Tesla, but not having 300 people on the floor, just a handful. Next. Thank you. So we developed Vitess. Vitess is a horizontal, no-code manufacturing platform. And today we have 3 products: the Gateway, that allows the discovery of all the equipment that we have on the floor, to populate some telemetry and digital twin that allows our customers to better understand their workflows and identify some opportunities for improvement. And finally, we have Designer. Designer is the orchestration software that can take control of the robots and controllers that you have on the floor to implement all these opportunities. If we go next. One key aspect of Vitess is that we leverage the topology of 5G networks. The separation of IT and OT is something that we've been talking quite a bit. We are not going to replace OT, with IT here, but it's important to start bringing some IT tools and practices on the floor so that we can accelerate the transition to Industry 4. If you go next. So some key benefits using Vitess. Well, basically we bring up a production line twice as fast as with using conventional manufacturing platforms. And the reason for that is that we cut programming time by 90%. The reason being there is no code involved. It's drag and drop. Technicians can do that. And that drives to 70% production line commissioning cost that is cut. Next slide, please. Today, our pipeline, so we have 6 key customers, and we have a pipeline of top-tier manufacturers. We're also preparing the future with some channel partners who are either machine builders, line integrators, or also off-the-shelf reseller and integrators in order to scale, to accelerate the scaling of our operations. Next, please. In terms of addressable market, so we are today targeting a 100 billion automation software market, and the distribution is about 20 billion of that is in Europe, 35 in North America, including Mexico, and the rest of the world, the rest of it. And that's part of a much broader segment on the factory automation that includes some of the machinery and heavy-duty robots that you can find there. Some of the, we can go through those very quickly. Some of the key insights we have here. We have a opportunity in terms of timing. If you look at the trend that's happening on the geopolitical survival that have been accelerated by both COVID and the supply shortage, and more recently with the war in Ukraine, there is a clear awakening the government level for both Europe and North America, accelerating the trend of reshoring manufacturing. And of course, we are taking that opportunity. There is also the technological trend, and we've talked about ChatGPT and AI. We are obviously heavily investing in AI at full speed automation to better serve our customers. Our revenue growth strategy. So today we have direct customers, these are 6 customers that we are serving alone, basically. There are 2 aspects here. Eat our own dog food, if I can say, so that we learn how to build the products, how to please our customers. We are starting to work with integrators as line builders, so people who are building specialized machines for our customers. So that's one order of magnitude in terms of scalability. And we are also starting to talk with automation distributors, so the Rexels and Sonelec of the world. And ultimately, our goal is to webify the offering so that with the advent of 5G, we can imagine a world in the future where our customers will go on our website, they will subscribe to VTest, and they will be able to start orchestrating their robotics directly from our website. Patents and IP, of course, all that needs to be protected. I mean, first of all, there is quite a little bit of IP that has been developed. We invest heavily on performance, energy optimization, as well as AI. And we have 8 international patents that are pending, 1 design. And we are about to file 2 extra patent applications. Moving on to the next slide, to the team. Also, we have a very strong team of quite senior people, including myself, coming from Apple and so on. So these are the key pillars at full speed automation. You can see that these are mostly senior engineering leaders, with the exception of Olivier and Dana. Olivier is driving the operations in Europe, and Dana Tran is she's a lawyer by training, and she's driving the overall operations and legal as well as HR across the board. Next. So this is where we are today. We are about to close a $7 million bridge between our seed and Series A, and we still have a $2.8 million opportunity of investment. We are intending to close that early Q2, so that's imminent. And our goal with that bridge is to basically build the sales and marketing team and achieve 4x sales efficiency. And by the way, OSS and the team have been pivotal in helping us achieving these goals. Next. So quick summary of the investment here. So first of all, I think we all understand that reshoring manufacturing requires shift to manufacturing. We need to invest in automation. I mean, the cost of America is unfair compared with Asia and Africa, for instance. Smarter automation is a plus. The factory floor is clearly an opportunity to bring better platforms. I see that on a daily basis, visiting our customers. They still use practices that are from the late 90s. And we have a high velocity execution at full speed automation. I mean, the name full speed automation, the product is Vitess. I think it gives you some insight as to how we execute. And we leverage open source foundation like crazy in order to be able to bring up products and iterate super quickly, which gives us an unfair advantage. So thank you. Yeah, perfect. That I hope gives us time for some questions.
Yeah, can we start with Adine?
Okay. Really like your presentation, and you talk very eloquently and very understandable, and in the sense that how your build was set up. I think what my question is on the market. I saw the clear slide on the market. How many numbers are you talking about? Like how many factories are the numbers of the manufacturing sites in the hundreds or thousands or in the 10,000s per year?
Yeah, good question. So that's an excellent question, because what really matters is the size of these factories, right? So we are focusing right now on an ideal customer profile that is less than 50 people, typically. So these are more like family businesses who understand that the transition to a boost their productivity is important. In terms of numbers, there are about 50,000 of those in North America and about 75,000 of those in Europe. And if you look at the other spectrum where you have what we call like gigafactories, nowadays, the Toyotas and Safrans of the world, one group has about 200 to 500 production sites in the world. And you are talking about 35,000 factories that we will be targeting over the next 5 years across the world. We have decided to not go to Asia yet for pretty obvious reasons. So that will be about a quarter of this.
Okay, this is very helpful. I think in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, it's a really big market, but if it's only gigafactories and you only have a limited number of sites, it will become less interesting as a SaaS product. But this is absolutely not the case, so that's very interesting. A quick part of feedback: your customer benefit slide can be much earlier in the presentation, so I think that's very strong, and that's your payoff basically. I love that you have a go-to-market strategy and that you show that you have different channels to work with. One point that I find lacking is your team diversity, but maybe that's an obvious statement. Yeah, and one thing I would love to know is but that you don't have to answer that, but that would be in your slides, is your ACV. So your annual customer value.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we had quite some rough time recently. Not to go into the detail, but I had to separate myself from my co-founder, and therefore the team that is right now extremely focused on engineering, and we are rebuilding the sales and marketing team. So therefore, there is like a whole vertical that is missing in the team today. The average customer value used to be in the 15 to 20,000 euros or dollars for the first deal. And that is something that we are ramping up with. And we are now in the range of about 100K. And we have a 3-tier approach, like working with a cell, like a manufacturing cell, and then with a line, and finally with a factory. I was a strong believer that we have to go, one step after another. And we have the confirmation, in Q1, we have started to monetize the product. And indeed, that's something that will have to happen over 6 months. So the expectation is that next year, the average customer value will be in the ballpark of 250K.
Okay. Okay. This shows me
In 3 steps.
you really thought about it. You know your customer on this, and these are clear numbers. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for the feedback. Greatly
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Dean. Do we have a quick feedback from Giles?
Yeah. First of all, really clear. I love the structure of the whole pitch. I think the fact that you talk about yourself and your experience with Tesla and then go on to talk about the customer problem is really straightforward, and I liked it. And there were a couple of things where I was like, okay, but I want to know this bit, and it turned out it was the next slide, like your go-to-market or something like that. So I thought really well structured and very clear, and I love how big the vision is. Conversely, I'm still asking myself a little bit about where you are at the moment in terms of current progress. I think the pipeline with the customers that you show is amazing, but would love to see a little bit more detail on exactly where you are with each customer and what you're building at the moment, because talking about the big vision is really helpful and really has me hooked, but I would also love to see kind of what you're working on today and a little bit more on current traction. But that's actually really quite minor feedback, because I think in general, you got me hooked on the big vision, and I can really tell how big the problem is and how well placed you are to solve it. So I think I was really effective.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Giles. And let's finish it off with Francois.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Luc, for the presentation. Greatly appreciated, especially in difficult conditions, but it was, I think, a great pitch. I really appreciated as well the vision and the team's background that shows also that you have a clear understanding of the issues at play. And also, I really appreciated, as Adine said, the sales playbook that you've established with, at first, knowing your clients and then establishing a partner sales channel. That is a really interesting play that I would have liked to dig a bit further, but I guess there are time constraints as well. And also I would have loved, so I understand the product is a clear layer of abstraction, but I would have liked to understand better how you address your clients and what's the sales playbook, and how you enter by some use cases, how you enter into client accounts, and then how you expand. So these would have been the topics that I would have loved to discuss, maybe with some more time, but overall a great pitch. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I think we are running a little behind time. So let's have our final presenter today, Rafi of Stargazer. Thank you so much, Luc.
Hi, thank you very much, Luc, for the presentation. So I'll just share my screen, if you can see a full screen.
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So hi all, last presentation. I'm Rafi, the CEO and co-founder of Stargazer. And what we do is trying to improve the general decision-making for C-level management, especially in the manufacturing space. What we see in general is, and that's probably something which is common with all the other speakers today, is the big issues running right now in manufacturing. Supply chain issues, but also post-COVID has led to the fact that a lot of companies are having bankruptcies, layoffs, and etc. And the question is always, who potentially in a company could prevent that thing? And usually what we see is the CFO of a company, which is sitting usually on very strong type of data, cost data, but also operational data, has at the moment issues to make strategic decisions. Katie Higgins is the CFO of Western Jet Aviation, one of our first clients. And the problem that she was facing in the beginning is she has different types of system, meaning accounting system, but also manufacturing system. And that leads to the effect that she usually has to put a lot of effort in, making some data integration and use it basically in some platform where she can do her analysis. And then analysis usually runs on Excel. And we all know Excel, which is good to use more or less, but it has also limited depth of analysis. It don't allow you basically, to go deeper and basically use also potentially more than only, some formulas. At the end of the story is that she's sitting in a top management meeting, is potentially not, able to provide good cost saving opportunities and help the company to make, get some actionable insights and steer the company in the right manner. So our approach is then what we see is finance in general is broke. So one big part, especially in manufacturing, since the manufacturing is always so complex from the financial perspective, is it doesn't have any causalities. Like it, you know, the manufacturing, the real value is happening on the shop floor, but the question is always, how is that relating to the P&L and the cash? How can we marry those two types of data to each other? Another big problem is always in finance, the retrospective view, which means we always look into the past and always explain what happened the previous month before, but we are not able to look into the future. Plus, if we want to do that thing, we basically have to be able to have a deep technical or data science know-how. And that's something what we see that those current solutions which are on the market, those legacy tools like Anaplan, etc., they still lead to the fact that a lot of finance teams are not able to identify those performance issues, those drivers in the company before they hit then the P&L and the cash when it's already too late. And that's the fact that we then decide, okay, we want to build Stargazer, which is an enterprise performance management system, allows you to connect your operational side with the financial side, and it gives you kind of forward-looking insights and also recommendation how to improve things. That means our approach usually is that we come in, try to measure the data, similar like an X-ray, try to use our approach, a detection on financial, but also operational type of data, and allows then the user to simulate his financial impact. So we have a correlation model where you can basically try to understand what does it mean, operational data, and then also financial data. And the end of the story is that we can also send, and the solution is sending out recommended actionable insights on how to improve things. So that means Katie, when she's usually starting her day or her week right now, is starting to get always recommendation on how can we improve bottlenecks at the company. From there, she's running over to the next step, which is this kind of second step, this driver tree, where we combine, as I said before, a correlation model, operational, financial data, and she can run different types of scenarios. She can build scenarios basically with the idea, how can we improve our financial result? And end of the story is she can share that with management. She can share that with engineers who can then basically run over and try to do as fast as possible action and then improve it. So the basic idea is here, improving the efficiency, improving the labor utilization, improving the overtime, which ultimately leads to cost savings, but also revenue increasement. So, and at the end of the day, an EBIT impact. And what we have seen, and we are right now in a phase where we are getting more and more pilots and converting them also into contracts, is that the number of, and that's our kind of North Star metrics, is the number of cost-saving opportunities through our solution. At the moment, and this is a cumulative number, we are at 68 cost-saving opportunities identified, where we can always say, what's the ROI? And the ROI in those companies were roughly 1.1 million of detected cost-saving opportunities. For sure, not all of those cost-saving opportunities were then executed. So what we see at the moment is that roughly a third of those recommendations are executed. So CFOs are taking them into top management meeting and really try to take action on it, which has a financial impact of 0.4 million at the moment, what our tool was delivered. And this problem is not something what only Katie is seeing. I mean, Gartner report is saying that 65% of decisions are getting more and more complex. On the same time, we also see that finance teams are not using analytics for decision-making. So there's a huge gap what we see. The good news is that CFOs most likely focusing, particularly this year, on acquiring analytics tools. So the shift is going more from automatic robotic process automation towards really using analytics solution, machine learning solution for them. We address the big market within US and Europe. We see roughly 250,000 manufacturing companies within the market, having the minimum size of 50 FTEs. Our ACV is usually somewhere around 100. There's a big market of roughly 25 billion annually. The team right now is consisting of two founders. So it's me on the one side, made a PhD in controlling NI and spent 7 years work as a financial controller in manufacturing, where I was pretty much focused on implementing KPI cascades and helping the finance team and decision maker to get predictive analytics tools. In my last position, I was able to help the company to do a turnaround, save 400 jobs, basically with the same approach and same idea what Stargazer is doing right now. And I founded the company together with Juan Carlos, who's our CTO and also co-founder, made his PhD in computer science, was the youngest PhD graded, and has also led an AI team in Santa Monica and AI. Beside that, we have also have a team around sales and also on tech side. We are roughly a 12 FTEs team at the moment. We get great support from advisors from Celonis, SAP, Google, same also with the OSS team, and have recently closed a pre-seed round led by Motivate Venture Capital in Chicago. Yeah, so happy to connect afterwards, and would love to get introduction in case you have potential CFOs and CFOs in mind in the manufacturing space. And yeah, look forward to your feedback.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Rafi. So let's go ahead with the feedback from Giles.
Thanks, Rafi. First of all, yeah, really great pitch. I just thought start to finish, the structure is very clear. I really like how you take the customer use case like very carefully and take us through like step by step. And then I really like the way you talk about metrics. You go actually quite granular. The detail that you have around them is really helpful. Like it's not a space I understood well before, but now I feel I have a really good understanding of it, because the way you talk about the problem and the way the metrics that you show really complement each other well. So I thought that was all really good. I suppose actually conversely to the feedback I've been giving to other founders today is that I almost want to go bigger vision now and say, okay, like show me how you're going to take over the world, because you've got a great team, really impressive machine, very well structured in the way you think. Like I want to see how big this goes, and really sell me that vision. But other than that, I think there was nothing, no other feedback I could give, because I think it was really clear and straightforward.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Giles. Can we have Francois give his feedback?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Rafi, for the pitch. First, I must say that quoting JDocs, which is an Irish portfolio company, as an incumbent, was not really pleasant to hear. But I hope you'll reach their level quite soon. So. On the pitch, I thought it was really great. The metrics to show on your North Star metric was really clear and sets the tone for what's the KPI and where the company is headed towards. However, I agree with guys. Then we feel that we can be also embarked on a bigger vision. So, for example, are you focused only on operational cost reduction, or also can you do like financial reporting and what's the broader product vision overall for Stargazer? But overall, I think it was really a great pitch, which demonstrated really well the current flows in the financial team's workflows and how you could remediate them. So really appreciated the pitch.
Thank you, Francois.
Thanks a lot, Francois. So let's wrap it up with Adine.
Okay, I'll be short. I'll try to be short and sweet. I really like your presentation. I think you show that you have a lot of confidence in what you do and what you say. So I like your tone of voice and how you bring about your story. So I think you're doing that really well. My question was in the beginning, because you show the incumbents like SAP and the SAP, and then my next question was, is this a feature or a core product? So is this something that you add onto your use of SAP, like an integration, or is it a standalone product? That was my first question that arose. And so my thinking is, will this be bought by SAP or created by SAP? So what does the market really look like when it comes to your competitors? I really like that you in your product is the part of the simulations and immediately the actions. I think that is amazing if you can produce that for your users. So I thought it was very strong. Back to one of the note that I was first saying is, what's your source of truth for the customer? Is that still the SAP or is that your product? And if that is your product, that's very strong. Again, does the user needs to switch from the incumbent to you, or how does that work? I really like your North Star of the amount of times you saved the customer money. So this is very clear a critical tool. It means you're saving. I thought about why is the conversion just 1/3? What's happening in between? What's the thought of the user in the cases that they're not taking your advice? And in general, I think the trends in your market look really good from what my understanding, in the sense that I think AI is the perfect way of approaching this problem, as all problems. And I think cost saving will be an even bigger issue and bigger priority in the next years to come. So yeah, I really liked it.
Thank you very much for your feedback. I just missed some of the feedback because I don't know, my Wi-Fi just had issues, so I was just kicked out.
Oh.
But I think that it's also recorded, right? So I'll definitely try to look it up. But I heard most of the part, and I appreciate your feedback. Very helpful.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Adine. So we'll have our investment director, Aurore, give us the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Adine, Giles, Francois, and Brian, even though he's not here right now with us. It was a pleasure to have you among us. And for the rest of the audience, if you have any question about the startups, you can directly reach me out on my email. It's Aurore, AURORE, @oss.ventures. And I wish you a great evening.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And for the ones who maybe missed some parts, we'll have a replay, and I'll also send you the decks so you can reach out to the founders directly as well. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening or a morning for the ones in the US.
Thank you.
See you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.